Okay, these were problems in section 8.5, but they were on the challenge. And so this is like one of those. And it turns out, I already did the factoring to save us some time. The bottom here, where I've just underlined, was x squared plus x minus 30. Factors of 30 that subtract to 1 are 6 and 5. I want positive 1, so it's positive 6 and 5. And when you do these problems, they're usually set up in such a way as you're supposed to break this up. Usually we're trying to combine so we can get to the numerator like that, like we did in the early ones. This one in the challenge problems was to how do you go backwards? And so that's what they set up this equation like this. And you look for the LCD. And the LCD, well, there's an x plus 6. There's an x minus 5. And it turns out these were already repeated. And they actually set up that way on purpose. You set that up on purpose so that when you multiply everything by the LCD, so I'm going to multiply the right side and the left side by the LCD, which is x plus 6, x plus 5, and I'm going to do that to each term. So I'm going to put parentheses on this as well. So when you do that, you're going to go this whole thing times b, this whole thing times a, and this whole thing times 60 minus x. So I'm going to rewrite it in long because people, if you're doing this correction, you probably were confused on how to do it. So 60 minus x, and the top was multiplied by x plus 6, x. It's supposed to be a minus 5. Minus 5 on top, all over x plus 6, x minus 5, equals, you do it with the a times x plus 6, x minus 5, all over x minus 5, plus b, x plus 6, I'm going to round to space, x minus 5, all over x plus 6. Now some of you are going, well, why didn't you multiply the top and bottom with this LCD? Well, if I do something to one side of an equation, as long as I do it to the other side, I've essentially kept an equation balanced. In 8.5, most of the time we don't have an equation, so whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top, which gives you fancy ones. We don't have to do that here. We don't have to have fancy ones because it makes our life easier, and some of you have already recognized that. Look, why don't we just cancel these suckers out? That makes our life way easier. And then we can cancel this out. We can cancel this out. And so all I have to do is figure out what a times x and a times 6 is, b times x and b times 5. So I do all that work. So I get 60 minus x equals a times x is ax. 6 times a, or a times 6 is 6a. On the other part I get b times x is bx, and minus 5b. b times negative 5 is minus 5b. You go, well, how does that help us? Well, let's write two equations. Let's write an equation with all the x's. Okay? And then we'll write an equation with all the constants that don't have x's in them. Okay? So there's a red equation and a purple equation. I've got the purple on right now, so I'm going to write that. 60 equals 6a minus 5b. Okay, well, that's useful for us. Now let's do the red equation. We have negative x equals, I'm going to put a 1 there. You'll see why in a second. ax plus bx. And it turns out if I factor the x's out, I get negative 1x equals a plus b. I'm doing it a little bit backwards with an x. And now we've got to do some thinking here. If these are equal, both sides are equal, then whatever's in front of x must equal negative 1. Okay, so or if you wanted, you could divide by x to both sides, and you'll get negative 1 equals a plus b. And you're going, well, wow, Well, so what? Well, this is a system of equations that we can solve. So I'm going to solve that system of equations. I'm just going to change screens here. Okay, so I changed the screen so I'd have space here to work. I've got this system of equations I need to solve. Remember, I'm trying to get A and B. Well, so let's do that system. Well, piece of cake here, what would you want? What do you want to get rid of? Do you want to get rid of A's or B's? Let's do the B's. So let's multiply the second equation by 5. So you'll end up getting -5 equals 5A plus 5B. And I'm going to rewrite the other one below it. 60 equals 6A minus 5B. Let's add those two equations. Can't see that. We're adding them. So this looks like it gets 55. This gets A. Okay? Yeah, it's not A. You add in the equation, so it's 11 A's, and then these cancel out. Okay? So that means A equals 5. But if let's use this equation here. If A equals 5, we got -1 equals 5 plus B. Then when you subtract 5 from both sides, you get B equals -6. So we have the problem done. Okay, it turns out if you really want the final thing, there's the left side is equal to 5 over x minus 5 plus -6 over x plus 6. And there's the left side that I didn't bother writing because it takes a while. Okay, and there's the answer. But that's essentially, if you get to A and B, I gave it to you.